I am Alaric. I lead a static group for raids and strikes.
So tell me a bit about your static, the one that I'm in.
Sure. So yeah, as I said, we do raids and strikes. Generally, I'll just say raids from now on because strikes are they fall in the same category in my mind. More so, we do the later strikes than the End of Dragons and Beyond strikes, which are a little bit more comparable to raids in difficulty, as opposed to the Icebrood Saga strikes, which are a little bit on the easier side. I like to describe our group as experienced but casual. We've
Yeah.
definitely been around the block for a long time, and everyone sort of knows how the encounters work. We've played through them in a variety of balance environments, that sort of thing. But we're definitely not very hardcore. We're not logging in and practicing a couple times a week. We're not full clearing everything. We have our allocated time. We do what we can do there. We hang out. We have a good time. Uh, so I guess that's I just say we're
Mhm.
experienced and casual.
Yeah, I like that. It's it's interesting. I think sometimes I see like conversations on Reddit or sometimes in random map chats or whatever where people are talking about casual players versus hardcore players, and I'm like, I I know I do not fit into the category of a casual player, but sometimes, man, I still feel like a casual player.
Yeah, it's like the missing middle of the conversation, I guess.
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of common with a lot of players that end up doing like high-end end game content is some people are only going to do it once. Some people are only going to do, complete each raid to get legendary armor and then they're never going to touch raids again or like
Yeah.
maybe rarely. And so you kind of have a bunch of people that are in this middle area and it's not such, a clear two categories only.
Yeah.
Despite there are two distinct categories, but it feels like there's a lot of people in the middle that go unacknowledged as well. So the static has been running for how long?
The static has been running since the release of Wing 4, Bastion of the Penitent, in, I believe, sort of mid-late 2016. I became commander of the static after some shuffling in sort of around a year after the founding in 2017, and I have been running it since that point, continuously, pretty much, albeit with many ups and downs and changes of
Mm-hmm.
faces.
Yeah, tell me the story.
Oh,
I mean, I know the
okay.
story, but you could tell it to everybody.
Yeah, sure. So the static was explicitly formed to go through and do the new raid. A bunch of people had done, I think everyone had done some raids before, if we hadn't been in a raid static before. Um, it was sort of a guild group, and we did get through the raid. It was definitely a lot less smooth going through it then than it is today. And then we started doing, the other raids, and that became sort of a regular thing, trying to go through and get better at these. Um, Around it was it was a continuous group for about that first year, and then a lot of people left the game for one reason or another around the same time within a span of a few months. Uh, we dropped to 4 members total at the lowest point, and I was
Wow.
nominated as the new commander by the guild leader who was sort of stepping down, the guild leader and raid leader who was stepping down, uh, notably without consultation. But I think I was
Voluntold.
a yeah, I think I was a natural choice because I think I'm a bit of a backseat commander when I'm not the actual commander.
You want to drive? Fine. Here's the keys.
Yeah.
And you've just been leading the squad ever since.
Uh, yeah, there's definitely been some like changes over time in terms of the sorts of content we do more often and in who's still around. There are currently three people, myself included, that are original members that are still full-time raid members.
Like
There are
original
another,
from that four, from the
yeah,
like four that were there. Okay.
uh, yes, yeah, and then there's a couple. I'd say there's two more original founding members who sometimes float around and might come back and fill occasionally, but not really continuously. And the other five are lost to the void.
Not the void. You just find him floating around Void Lounge.
Yeah.
So you've been running. I mean, you came into this position of commander for this inherited group. I mean, with only four people, you could have easily just disbanded. What
Yeah.
what made you want to keep going and be like, all right, fine, I will do this. I'm gonna fill those other six spots.
I guess I don't know. Mama didn't raise no quitter, I suppose. Uh, I didn't want to surrender so easily.
Mm.
It's like, okay, fine, you've given me this job, fine, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna show that I can do it.
And I'm gonna do it for 7 years.
Yeah, apparently. Who would have thought it would still be going? It's definitely a rough position to be in with few players because it's hard to there's an urge to cancel. It's hard to fill that many spots with pugs from just like picking up on the looking for group tool. And in that position, it makes the people who are there think, all right, this is kind of a bad deal. And it
Mm.
is. So it's pretty you're in a pretty critical state, I think, with that few people. So these days, I try to make sure that we are staying at a much higher number of people. And if that means that someone who can't commit regularly has like they can only come part of the time, that they can't participate, so be it. It's important to sort of keep that consistency. It's sort of the only thing that can keep it going. And so
Mm.
we would run even with just like 4 to 6 people, and it would be a terrible time. But I want to make sure that we're filling that time slot and keeping that sort of commitment.
Yeah, I guess that kind of goes over into the philosophy that I've seen over the years cuz oh man, I don't remember when I joined the raid group, but I think it was like 2018 or something. Like it's been a while since I've been here.
Yeah, yeah. I think you
And
might be the oldest non-founding member.
yeah, I think so. And when somebody is, has life events come up or a change in work schedule or what have you, and they can't reliably show up every Wednesday, they get moved to a secondary role, which is like a fill role, where they'll get pinged if we need somebody, but they're not currently part of the main static. And then
Yeah.
when a spot opens again and they're available again, they rejoin. We've had people come and go over the years, depending on whatever they need.
Yeah, for sure. And I think in the early days, if people couldn't join for a period, they're like, "Hey, I have to do this thing. I won't really be able to join consistently for 2 months." I would try to hold a spot for them.
Mm.
That's a bad idea. So my advice to any would-be commanders out there, don't do that. Your probably most important priority is to try to ensure a stable full group.
Yeah. I think that's good advice. It's something that I've never seen talked about really, or only ever like when you're in the position of a commander and you're running these static groups, is that something that you really have to consider. And I've never heard advice on like that type of logistics, you know.
Yeah,
But it's
I
good.
guess
It's
it's
something that you learn from experience.
yeah.
What would you say keeps, driving you forward to commanding? It's been such a long time. The group has shifted many times. Yet when somebody drops or somebody has to go or sometimes multiple, like we've had instances where I think up to 3 spots were empty, 3 out of the 10. What
Yeah,
keeps you going?
it's it's definitely more of a social element than it is for the actual sake of the game. The game for me and for our group, at least from my perspective, is just sort of the activity that facilitates it.
Mhm.
Uh, there are yeah, I like the people in the group and I like hanging out with them. And I've known some of these people for a very long time. There are definitely some people where when they have to drop from the group, sometimes permanently, it's sad. It's like the end of an
Mhm.
era, but it's still something I want to maintain. I guess it's just, I don't know, it's my routine. I like coming back, doing some same things, some of the same things, some different things, and like with the same group of people. So there's definitely a big social element at play.
Yeah. I think a lot of people in our group would say the same, myself included. Like I like doing the fights. I like Guild Wars, obviously, if I'm doing this.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it is like a big social element, and I feel that too. Like sometimes people have to drop. I'm like, no, we
yeah.
liked you so much. Come back, stay.
Yeah. As far as the game element goes, I do, I guess, have a little bit of a competitive element in that I want to do the the 10 person, like the challenging 10-person content out there, uh, sort of just to have done it.
Mhm.
And so there is an element of that as well, but it's definitely secondary.
Yeah, so if you see something like the new challenge modes, or right, like the Wing 8 challenge modes, right, have come out recently,
Yeah.
or doing um, Sarah CM or LCM, Embodiment of Sin, those types of things that you've completed, how do you decide when you're going to lead that versus when you're going to join somebody else's group?
Hmm. So I think it comes down to like I said, I've been playing with the group for a long time, and broadly, I think I have a good impression of the people I've cultivated.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so I guess it's like a figuring out maybe risk reward is a weird way of putting it, but the level of effort to actually make this something that the group would be able to accomplish, and especially sort of commanding that effort is it is a lot of effort to try to get the group through some really difficult stuff. And whether I think I'm feeling up to that, and whether I think the group is up to that, if that's something they want to truly commit to. Uh, and if I don't think that's the case, then I'll be more inclined to seek it out separately. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
for example, we did the Ceres challenge mode collectively. However, I did the Ceres Legendary Challenge mode and the Embodiment of Sin achievement separately because I did not feel up to the task of commanding and sort of trying to like whip the group into shape and I didn't think that the group wanted to be whipped into shape to the
Mm.
degree that would facilitate those additional achievements. So I guess I think that like my skill level as an individual contributor is higher than my skill level as a raid leader and commander.
Mm.
And
Interesting.
so
Well, that
I sort
goes.
of target different things on each side of that.
Yeah, I want to dive more into the like logistics of commanding and stuff, but first I'm going to ask you, how would you rate your personal skill level?
So okay, I think everyone's going to be a little bit biased for this answer. I do think I am pretty good. I do know the game quite well, but mostly it's that I find that I am able to hold my own playing with some very good players and some very good groups. I don't think I'm better than them, but I can operate in the same ballpark
Mhm.
uh, if the moment demands it, if I'm committed to something and practicing for it, and have done so for certain endeavors. But as a raid leader, as a commander, I think I'm a lot more laissez-faire
Mhm.
and not as dedicated, which is definitely what you want to hear from your commander, I'm sure.
Oh, definitely. So, okay, let's get into some of the logistics. Like when you're leading the squad every week, is there a role that you prefer to play and why?
There absolutely is a role. I like, generally speaking, I like healing and tanking, and I think that is a trend for a lot of commanders. It's not all of them, but I definitely do think there is a biased preference because partially I do have I think that that role can have the biggest individual impact, and I do
Mhm.
have more faith in myself than in some others. But also that it healing in Guild Wars 2 is effectively it's a slower, lower actions per minute sort of role than playing a damage class. And that makes it a lot easier for me to sort of focus on the bigger picture and see, how the squad is doing and make call outs and that sort of thing.
Mm. Mhm.
Whereas if I'm say playing damage, I do get a little bit competitive. I want to be doing the most damage I can possibly be doing, which leads to a lot of tunnel vision, which is not conducive to commanding.
Yeah, I could see how those are conflicting. Um, I'm just looking through my questions here. What would you say is the hardest or most annoying part of being a commander?
I think that this is more so for the logistical side, but the hardest part is probably trying to maintain a group of 10 people who can be broadly on the same page and have similar expectations, especially
Mhm.
in a community that's relatively small and existing, like we were saying earlier, sort of within that uh, unsung middle range, where we're
Mhm.
not trying to speed clear everything, and we're also not interested in just doing like training raid stuff for like for 6 years or something like that.
Mhm.
You like different people do want different things out of the group, uh, and including you as the commander, you have your own agenda. but it's sort of trying to manage and keep everything aligned and sort of making sure that people are broadly getting what they want, because that's how you keep people happy and keep them a part of the group. It's sort of how you retain members, and also sort of, yeah, I guess that's it really.
Okay. Do you use any external tools? I know I'm kind of setting you up because I know exactly what kind of external tools and spreadsheets
Yeah,
you use, but tell me about like add-ons, trackers, spreadsheets, all of that good stuff. And yeah, okay, we'll go with that first.
sure. So, well, currently right now I have 9 windows of ArcDPS open on my screen.
Oh my gosh.
Not all of them are all that important, but we've got ones for the squad's outgoing damage and break bar damage and boon uptime. Those are all, I think, very important. I also have, through a healing sort of extension to Arc DPS, ones for healing output and barrier output for the squad, as well as breakdown of my own healing output, as well as damage taken across different squad members, as well as a counter for how many times people have gone down. I don't
Oh,
actually look at
really?
that often. And then I also have one that shows stuff like my ping, frames per second, and so on. But yeah, I'd say that having a squad DPS, CC, and boon uptime is very, very helpful. It lets you notice any glaring issues, like if a subgroup is missing a key boon, because believe it or not, they probably won't tell you or notice even.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
have to try to keep an eye out. It's quite frequent that I'll notice after a few encounters that, let's say, a subgroup is missing. It could even be something like super impactful and obvious, like alacrity. And then I look and I see and I'm like, wait, do we not have alacrity in subgroup two? And then someone says, oh yeah, I was gonna say something. And it's like, oh, okay, why didn't you? But
Yeah.
outside, yeah. Uh,
And you have a big spreadsheet that you record a lot of this stuff. Or well, you record the logs, right? Tell me
yeah,
about that.
yeah. So I have a spreadsheet. It's essentially just to keep track of the raid logs we generate and just it's just a big list. It has stuff like the date, the encounter, whether we succeeded or failed. I do think raid logs are super helpful for basically for doing something new. If that's doing a new encounter, so like progression, then it's very helpful for seeing possible issues, identifying them, and then you can see how you can get past them. And it's also helpful for an individual if they're playing something new, they can see how it compares to other things they've played, how they're performing in the same role, and they can have a sense of that they might not be able to get as well within the moment. I have definitely. I used to also log the builds everyone was playing within each log every week. That was a lot of manual effort, so it's something I've
Yeah.
stopped doing. I don't think the frequency with which people actually use that information made that valuable, but I do still like to keep track of at least the logs themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess just while we're on add-ons, I do also use Blish HUD. There is a timer for some raid mechanics. I think I only started using this like last year, but it's pretty handy, particularly for some encounters. If you've done something enough, you'll get a sense for when things are coming with or without a timer, but it's still helpful.
Ah, my crowning achievement, getting Alaric to actually install and use Blish HUD.
Yeah.
um so you kind of mentioned this a little bit with, a squad members not piping up if they notice something's wrong. Is there anything else along that vein that you wish every squad member would do, or something that you wish every squad member would keep in mind or know about commanding, or just like help you out as a commander?
I think that it depends on what we're doing, but I think it's valuable if people sort of bear in mind the goals of the group and think about how they can contribute toward them, sort of beyond just showing up each week. This is more relevant for doing stuff like progression on a difficult encounter where it can take place over many weeks, sort of depending on the squad's comfort level and skill level. But stuff like trying to get a better handle on things themselves and looking for issues, seeing if they need to or how they can contribute with resources that they might have come across, uh, practice for the role, or looking at sort of other points of view to sort of get a better idea. It does, I think it does mean a lot to the commander because it can be a lot of effort, but it can also just be something that you don't do adequately, and that can really slow down
Mm,
progression. So, sort of having everyone pull the load together can ultimately save everyone, I think, a bunch of time. Um, and there's sort of like there's like a give and take to it. Like it might not be something that you want to be very invested in say one encounter, but it also means you can get back to doing stuff you do want to do. So there's sort of a and that goes the other way from the commander to the group as well, just sort of trying to make sure everyone is sort of getting what they want, and then we can all sort of work toward the squad's goals.
mm-hmm. Um, One thing I would like you to talk about is how you find people for the squad, both in the sense of recruiting a new static member and filling extra roles if somebody can't make it last minute, finding pugs. Like, what's your process for all of that?
Sure. It's the same answer for both categories in that most of the time I find people through in-game LFG by making a little posting if we're waiting for a or if we're in the moment waiting trying to do a boss, we need another person, or by being one of the dreaded raid recruiters sitting on LFG for hours on end. That is definitely how I've gotten most players over the years.
Myself
The other
included.
way, pardon, yeah, yeah. Um, the other way I have had some success with is posting on some community Discord servers. They do all have different audiences, so you'll want to bear that in mind as far as finding people. But a lot of the Guild Wars 2 raid community exists in these servers, and so you can find people there that you might miss on LFG because they might not log in every day, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've specifically recruited people through Void Lounge, both pugs and raid members, and that might be it actually. I've posted in some other Discord servers, but I don't know if I've had a ton of success in them. But it really depends on your audience. Void Lounge is a little bit, uh, or maybe a lot of bit biased towards the experienced end of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd say in-game LFG is good, and probably best paired with certain community Discord servers.
And when you're looking for a new static member, like what kinds of things are you looking out for?
That's a great question. I'm always trying to work that out myself. I think I change up the process slightly every single time I need to find someone because I have not settled on a winning approach. I've gone from like doing a long questionnaire, which can get you some information, but it can also filter out a lot of people. Uh, Filtering is good to some extent, but it also depends on how many people are interested in
Mm-hmm.
the first place. Because if you're filtering out a lot of people and you're not having that many people show up to begin with, that's not so good.
Right.
And I think now I prefer to just do like a short little voice interview.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not something I've done a lot, but something I've done a few times. But I want to get a sense of any potential players' vibes and see if those align with the group. I want to get a sense of their experience level. I don't want it to match the group, but I want it to be at least fairly good because we don't want to be training up people. And then
Mm-hmm.
I think more important than experience level is also sort of some level of like drive and like wanting to sort of commit and get better at the game. That's often higher in less experienced people, but it depends. And you don't always want like the best possible player. You wanna recruit for the group you have, sort of. You recruit for the group you have, but you also recruit for the group you want, but not too much because then they're just gonna join and leave.
Yeah, that's a lot to consider. You're like an employer hiring employees.
Yeah, I it's essentially, yeah, like it's, you know, there's a lot of the same elements at play. It's a lower stakes environment. But yeah, I guess in that sense, yeah, I'm the bad guy.
And we're not getting paid.
No, you're not.
So when you need to that's for recruiting the static members, but day to day, or I should say week to week since we only meet once a week right now, if somebody has to drop last minute and we need to fill a spot, primarily you're just using the in-game LFG. What are your expectations when somebody joins our group from the LFG or other methods of pugging?
This is a very easy answer. It is don't lower our odds of success.
Mm,
And that's a low bar for easy fights, where basically a lot of the time you just have to be a warm body. And sometimes not even that. If it's an easy enough encounter, if you die right away, it's fine. We can finish it with 9 people.
yeah.
Uh, but it's a much higher bar on more difficult fights. And in that sense, you know, if people are causing us to wipe, whether that's to fail the encounter, whether that's uh, through failing key mechanics, whether we're not making important, let's say, damage checkpoints or something like that, and they are not sort of up to the task at that moment, then that can be an issue. Um, but especially we do a decent amount of older stuff, and a lot of older stuff is not that hard, so the expectations are very low. I don't bother asking for kill proof, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we've had times where we've known for sure that we were carrying somebody through
Yeah,
things, but
yeah,
it just
absolutely.
it doesn't matter at that point.
Yeah, and especially the LFG tool is not bustling a lot of the time. So you're sort of weighing the amount of the contribution, potentially low contribution of whoever's there right now against the amount of time you'd have to wait to find a new person. If we could clear encounters, 30 seconds faster with someone else, but it would take us 5 minutes to find another person, I
Mm-hmm.
probably just want to keep the bad person.
Right. What changes would you like to see to the LFG?
Right. I have seen people make good suggestions before, so the ball is definitely in ArenaNet's court.
Uh-huh.
Without redoing the whole system, I think a very impactful change would be to treat each section as a checkbox rather than just like a single thing. And then on the list side, we see everything within our selected categories. And that would be saved between like closing and opening the LFG. I think that would
Mm,
be really useful for like smaller categories. Like if I'm not going to open LFG every 15 minutes and look through each individual dungeon category, but if I just tap open LFG and I see, oh, there's a little group forming for Sorrow's Embrace right now, then I'll be more inclined to just join into that. And I think that it does benefit across every game mode because it means that you can see content that you might be willing to do, but we're not presently thinking about doing.
yeah. I agree. I would love to see that. Have some way to save categories, start grouping categories together more. Anything that can facilitate exactly what you said of, oh, I might not have been thinking about running triple trouble, but I'm going to do it right now because there's a squad up.
Yeah,
Okay, let's talk a little more about pugs. So you mentioned your expectations of them. How often do you kick people from your squad, and what leads you to kick somebody?
I don't kick people very often. I It does happen. I think if I think we're going to be spending all of our time doing more difficult stuff, I might try to find pugs through, for example, the Void Lounge server, where I'm going to have an audience that is already more up to the task, and so there's not really a need to worry about whether they're going to be contributing to our success. Um, but sometimes that doesn't pan out. Sometimes I don't find someone, or sometimes things just aren't going very well. If there's a pug who I think is just they are significantly detrimental to our ability to succeed at what we're doing, probably going to replace them. Also, if they are harshing the vibe, or I perceive them to be harshing the vibe, and particularly if I'm a little bit frustrated already, I might be inclined to remove them from the situation. I
Mm-hmm.
do always message people when I kick them about why I've done it, but I have definitely also misinterpreted situations and maybe kicked people on false grounds. Mistakes happen. Uh, but yeah, generally it's one of those two things. Either they're getting in the way of our success, or they are bringing introducing negativity that is undesired.
Mm-hmm. You can't be you can't be bringing down the vibes of our experienced casual group.
Yeah.
Do you have any pug pet peeves?
Let's. Well, one is joining and then not doing anything. Like you join the squad and then you don't say anything, you don't go anywhere, you don't do anything for like a couple of minutes, and then I'm like, are they coming? Are they not coming? I don't know. Give them a second. Okay, I'm just gonna kick them and then replace them. That's
Mm-hmm.
annoying.
Like what?
Uh,
Why are you here then? What did
yeah.
you join for if you're not going to actually do anything?
Yeah. In general, not communicating is a big one. Whether that's communicating like, hey, I'm just grabbing this, then I'll be coming over, or communicating, oh, I'm gonna swap to this build, communicating, hey, I don't actually know this encounter that well, or I haven't I know I looked at a guide, but I haven't done this before. That is very appreciated. The opposite is not very appreciated. Generally speaking, I will cut people slack if they have not done a fight, but they already know it to some extent. It'd be hypocritical of me to do otherwise, because I got a lot of my first kills back in the day by lying about having already done the encounter. Uh, but yeah, generally speaking, not communicating is the big one.
And do you have any like stories, I guess either about pugs that have joined the group or just our regular static members? Do you have any like fun stories that really stick out in your mind? Or I guess they could be unfun stories as well. It could be negative stories.
I I don't have a lot of stories about pugs, all things considered. It's usually a pretty transactional relationship. They come and contribute, they get gold and stuff, and so do we, and they leave. And maybe we say hi and goodbye, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
There are definitely lots of silly moments that uh, sort of accumulate over a multi-year static group. I I don't know if I have a specific one. Okay, I do have a specific one in mind that this made me think about, and that always makes me laugh. And that would be for the Twisted Castle pre-event of Zera. That we have a clip of going through that event. There's one space where players use a mobility skill to jump over a chasm to sort of as a shortcut to get to somewhere. And then we just have a clip of like four people failing it one after the other and just laughing harder each time. And it's a very fond memory.
You'll have to send me that clip. I wanna I wanna see it again. I know I've seen it before, but yeah, that's funny. I have two things come to mind for me, which one was our group was really struggling on Deimos, and we got to the final 10% where you go to like the dark room and everything and you're trying to fight the big Deimos. And through a comedy of errors, everybody except one person died. And I can't remember if they were our healer or not, but
It was the hand it was Raz as the hand kite.
the hand kite, yes. And we were all rooting and cheering for them, and they were panicking, but they managed to get the kill at the end, and it was a big
Yeah.
celebratory moment. It just reminds me of like, at the end of a football game when they lift the quarterback up on the shoulders. It was like that.
Yeah, yeah. That was very fun.
And then another story I have, this one's a pug story, and I find it amusing. It tickles me every now and then I think about it. Um we had a pug join our group for something easy. It was like wing one or something. We needed a fill, like you said, a warm body would do. They don't have to be they don't have to be great or anything, just not failing to the point that they're causing us to wipe or whatever. And so they joined, and we did the whole raid wing with this pug, but it was very apparent from the beginning that they had never done any of these fights before.
Yeah.
And they didn't say anything in chat, other than hi DPS or whatever their role they were doing. I mean, it was probably a DPS role. Um, they didn't say anything in chat like through the whole wing. And then at the very end, after we cleared the wing and we're all in the aerodrome afterwards, they type in chat, "Thanks, that was my first raid ever." Smiley face. And I just remember you saying in Discord to the rest of us, "Yeah, buddy, we know." And so that tickles me.
Yeah.
Okay, reset away from funny stories. um,
Okay.
do you have any advice for people that want to start raiding or getting into strikes, but don't know where to start or might feel intimidated joining a group from the LFG, things like that?
So the one thing is that it is a group activity, so you will have to get involved with a group, even if you are anxious about doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the other thing I think is it helps a lot with anxiety of like, oh, I don't want to stick out. I don't want to like let the group down and have people call me out or something like that. If you know that you are doing your role well, so like if you've seen a guide for the encounter you've doing, if you're playing damage, you've studied your build a little bit. You've tried it out in the like special forces training area, all that stuff. You know how you are doing. You will probably be better than several other people in a training environment, and I think that can help take the edge off. Because if
Uh-huh.
someone's going to be getting heat, it's not going to be you. uh, Other than that, I'd say the LFG is maybe not the best place to start these days. If you see something, if you see the perfect opportunity, like a boss you've studied up on already, you see a training group posted for that, by all means. But a lot of this does take place outside the game in guilds and in community Discord servers. So trying to find the right ones is definitely valuable. It might not be for the best that all this stuff has sort of moved out of the game, but it has.
Yeah, a lot of the raiding community is outside the game. It's another barrier, I think, for players wanting to make that jump. It's it can feel really overwhelming and you're not sure where to start, and it's just kind of unfortunate that so much of it is not native to the game, and like the game doesn't push you to get to these spaces either. You have to kind
Yeah.
of go out of your way to see external guides or join a training group that's usually external on a Discord or things like that.
Yeah, it's helpful if you can find sort of like if you're in you've joined a guild and there's a couple experienced people who can sort of direct you and they can answer questions and they can point you toward communities, answer questions about them, or maybe even go with you. Like if you have someone who's going to enter a training thing with you, that's helpful. But it can be definitely a barrier to sort of find find people to do that, let alone finding all the servers and all the resources online and all that stuff. But maybe you could include them in the description.
Yeah, I definitely will. I've had people already, or like the one person I talked to before already mentioned like Raid Academy, Heartstuck, Void Lounge, like it's
Yeah,
common that you get the same ones popping up a lot of the
yeah.
time. Okay, is there anything else that you want to talk about in terms of commanding, being a commander, leading a static group, finding people, anything? If not, that's okay. We did cover a lot already, but I'll just open the floor to anything.
I think. Hmm. So I've never started a group from scratch, like started a static group from scratch. Um, but you'll definitely want to think about what you actually want out of the experience. Like if that's just training, having a group of new people to go through and try some new stuff with, if it's going for particular achievements, stuff like that. And try to find people with similar goals. If your goals change, it is highly possible that the other people in the group's goals will not change. And so in that situation, the people you met to go and do some training stuff to get into the game mode are likely not going to be the same people that are going to get you, I guess, deep into it. And if you want to
Mm.
get into like a more hardcore side of things, so just keep in mind what you actually want of the experience, make sure you're moving in that direction. And also don't worry about being bad at things. It's fine.
How about the fear of failure?
Yeah, it's scary. But it
The
also it's Guild Wars, right? It's a game.
Yeah, the very first static that I joined was before, it was like a year before I joined your group. And I was in this static for, I want to say, a year and a half, maybe up to 2 years. I joined terrified. I remember I asked in map chat in Genderen Fields, because that's where the airship was and that was the only pass I had at the time. I asked, is does anybody run raids? Like, does anybody do raid statics or anything? And somebody messaged me right away. And that was how I found my very first raid group, was through map chat. And I joined their group. I was terrified of failing and performing poorly. We did join on Discord, but I did not speak in Discord for a full year. Like, I showed up, I would, be part of the group, I would type in squad chat, but I did not speak on Discord for a full year. They did not know that I was a woman. Like, that's how deep this ran.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy how the social anxiety can like affect you, but I still I still wanted to be running raids and I still really enjoyed being part of that group. So much so that after it kind of disbanded and faded away just due to people leaving naturally over time and then not finding replacements, it was something that I still thought about so strongly that I went out of my way to go find another static, and I was a lot more, I was feeling more confident at that point in time.
Yeah.
um, and I haven't shut up since.
Yeah, you
But
can get
it's,
really far with sorry, I don't have a mic excuse. But it's also nice to sort of take the leap at some point.
yeah, I definitely did have a mic. It was just muted.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember the day that I was like, all right, today's the day I'm going to talk. Like, I had built up this whole thing in my head of, like, I've raided with these people for like a year. I trust them enough that I feel like I can start pushing past my own fears and my own anxieties, and it was good. It's just an interesting step on my journey as a raider, right? But that's like where I started.
Yeah.
um okay, well, we've gone through pretty much all of the questions. We're just going to end with like the fun stuff. So, one, is there anything that you're currently working towards in Guild Wars 2, whether that's related to raiding or not?
In the near-ish future, I'd like to start working towards the Wing 8 challenge mode achievements. I currently, or at least did, have a gold star record of having done all the Raid and Strike achievements. I'd like to get back to having that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Other than that, I don't really have goals beyond maybe get more legendary things so that I never need to buy anything ever again.
Ah, the true end game.
Yeah,
What are
I'm
you
pretty far
missing?
along. So I'm missing all the weapons. I still have not gone for any weapons because they're sort of there's a lot of them, and I'd rather do like the universal stuff.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm sort of working towards sigils, but I'm also just working on increasing my like base gold stockpile to get into some like high value trading post flipping, I guess.
All right. Interesting. How's that been going? Like, have you tried doing flip? I mean, I guess you said you've been crafting something. You just sold something big. I forgot
Yeah,
what it was
I
called.
don't know if I'll get into it too much because that increases competition,
Oh, right, of course.
but but at least like I don't know, flipping some like t some like trading post skins or Black Lion skins, stuff like that. And also, yeah, crafting some items for profit, but looking more towards stuff that is like big ticket, as opposed to like big ticket, low effort, sort of low turnaround or high turnaround time, I guess, because it's sort of low frequency of transactions. Just because I don't want to get too into it or spend too much time on it.
Gotcha. I have spent a lot of my gold recently on gems and decking out
Yes.
this my homestead.
Yeah, yeah, I'll bet.
I just recently bought like a ton of nodes that I didn't have before, and that was a bit pricey because each
Yeah.
node is like most nodes are 100 gold or more. So
Yeah. You got a pretty luxurious setup here.
thanks. I spent like 25 hours I think in total um with this like current decoration setup, but it's been nice. I've been opening my home instance to people to come gather and stuff, and I like that part of the community. I just I don't know. I find myself pulled towards random community things. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's a side tangent. My last question is, do you have a Guild Wars 2 hot take? If you need me to explain what that means, I can explain it.
I know what a hot take is.
Okay, just double
Uh,
checking.
I don't know if it's that hot of a take. I don't think I have super strong opinions about the 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 game and its community. I think the one thing that comes to mind would be about the community, and it's that we could all stand to I don't know catastrophize less about upcoming changes.
Mm,
I think there's an attitude that everything is such a big deal, and how could they be doing this, and don't they know what it'll affect? And then it's actually not that big a deal.
mm-hmm.
So maybe we could all just chill out a little bit.
You're harsh in the vibes. We said no negativity.
Yeah,
All right. Well, I think, that's all the questions. If you have anything else you want to talk about, you can. Otherwise, we are wrapped for today.
I don't really have anything else to talk about, but thank you for bringing me out here to this lovely locale. Uh, that's it.
Thanks for taking the time to be interviewed. It's super interesting. Like, even though I know what some of your answers are going to be because we've worked together for so long.
Uh-huh.
um it's still just fun to hear you talk about all of it and dissect all of these different components of leading a squad and everything. So it's
Yeah.
fun.
Well, yeah, thanks for choosing to interview me. Uh, outside of a professional context, I think it's always fun to get interviewed. How often do people actually ask for your opinion, right?
I know. A lot of people they want to share their opinion, so they get excited to be interviewed. I'm that way too.
Yeah.
Like I love answering questions. I share within our static, I share plenty about like my personal life and
Yeah,
other things like that. I don't mind. I know a lot of people like the more separation, the varying
yeah,
degrees of separation, and that's fine. But I don't know. People like talking about themselves, even when they say like, "Oh, I hate talking about myself." A lot of people still enjoy being like asked questions and stuff.
yeah, for sure.
Being
Is
asked their
there
opinion.
anything you'd like to share if I ask you a question?
I don't know. I don't really have anything, like as we're going through the conversation, if I think of something, I usually am saying it right then.
Right. What's your
I
commander tag of choice?
My commander tag of choice is the teal Catmander. The
Okay.
like light blue teal and any form of like blue green is my favorite color. And so I always gravitate towards teals, cyans, turquoise, anything like that. If it's more blue, if it's more green, I don't care. I like them both. And then I picked the Catmander just because I've got it. I might as well use it.
Right. Who doesn't like cats?
Exactly. I was trying to think last night, like, what's my Guild Wars 2 hot take? And I don't know if I've come up with a good answer yet.
Yeah, that's
I
the trouble with asking questions is when people ask you the question you just asked.
Yeah. Like I feel like mine would be kind of similar to yours, but I'm not sure yet because I'm thinking like I'm pretty active on the Guild Wars 2 subreddit, and I find that people tend to overreact there as well, and that there's a lot
Yeah.
of negativity sometimes. Like, it can be more subtle, but overall, if you're looking at the subreddit as a whole, it generally has a kind of negative vibe to it. But I
Yeah.
don't think that's a hot take. I think like people know that.
Yeah. We've been new.
We've been new, exactly. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking about what my hot take is because I think that's a very cold take.
Yeah.
My hot take is homesteads are good actually.
Right, right.